So, Resident Evil Village, is it a good game? Well, to answer that question, I'm going to compare it to Resident Evil 7, which is the prequel to this game. So, I want to start straight away by answering the question. Is Resident Evil Village better than 7? Because I imagine there are people out there who are like me who, and don't hate me for saying this, aren't really massive fans of Resident Evil games, but for context I'll sum it up in this nice meme. So, why do people like me take to Resident Evil 7? Well, the answer is simple. We like being terrified for 10 hours straight, and we also like good old mystery stories. I also admit that I never liked how the old Resident Evil games played in third person, so when they changed it to first person, I just thought it worked a lot better, and I'm a gamer who would normally pick third person games, as first person really annoy me, unless it's kind of Call of Duty, but the only other exception is in horror games because they resonate more with me as they make you feel like you're experiencing what the character is, and they're definitely more immersive. So, back to the question. For me, Village is not better than 7, and there are a few reasons why. 1, you can't catch lightning in a bottle twice. By that I mean 7 was a new experience in this franchise when it came out and took people by surprise. Village is more of the same but in a bigger location and on a grander scale, which takes me to my second reason, which is the village itself. I think the magic of 7 came because you were in a house with very strategically placed and memorable boss fights. That's not to say that boss fights in Village are bad, they're just not that memorable. Some of them definitely are, but not all of them. And thirdly, the intrigue in 7 was that you were trying to find and save your girlfriend, which kept you engaged. Village is very much the same, but this time it's your daughter, so when I started playing the game I was thinking, oh no, here we go again, same plot. However, the story does make up for this by the end, and I'm glad my initial gut feeling was wrong. The next reason is the ending. Now, I won't spoil it in this part of the review, and it's not something that 7 did perfectly either, but for whatever reason Capcom have some habit of making games that start as semi-believable. And I'm saying semi-believable because you literally fight vampires and werewolves in this game. But by the end it turns into a complete over-the-top Hollywood movie, which I don't think is one of its strengths, and for me that is why part of its downfall. I mean, the great thing about 7 was the fact that you didn't have a clue what was going on, and you had to kind of fight people who weren't normal because of the fungus stuff, but it never felt out of place for this specific world. Well, that was until kind of the end boss fight anyway, which comes back to my point. The game is almost 2 different games, but in one experience. The first half is the horror focused part, and then you get the second half, which is all out action, and it just felt weird. I'm not saying the action parts aren't good, because I actually really enjoyed them and had a lot of fun, but they just felt out of place for the game that I was playing. And my final reason why Resident Evil Village isn't better than 7 is because I don't think it's as good, because it's just not as scary to play. Throughout the whole 10 hours, there aren't as many scares. I mean, the first hour or so, or the first 2 hours of the game, they're really scary, and in my opinion is where it shines because it's very tense and you feel helpless. There was also an amazing mission with this creepy doll lady, which is by far the scariest mission I've ever played in a video game. It's similar to the Saw franchise in that you have no weapons and you have to work out the clues in order to progress, and the tension is insane. However, there aren't a lot of these moments, unfortunately, and of course the Lady D stuff is also full of tense moments where you have to work out these grand clues in this castle while she basically terrorizes you.
No! 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 Hell no! 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 No!
But other than that, it's pretty standard in terms of horror experience, as once you get your guns there is no need really to worry about anything, as I just literally felt overpowered. So with the gameplay, the structure is the same with the boss fights, and it's not really hard. You basically just shoot until they fall, other than the doll lady, but it's similar sort of stuff. To be honest, the biggest threat is running out of ammo. The guns also take some getting used to as they don't feel smooth to start with, but after a while you don't really notice and it kind of just becomes second nature. This game also doesn't really have many challenging so-called puzzles either. There are certain times when you'll have to do stuff to work out how a door opens or how something can be found. But what I actually liked more about this game were the puzzles that you don't realise are puzzles at the time of playing. Now I know that doesn't really make much sense, but bear with me for a second. So this game does a really good job of creating tension through its gameplay moments, which often leads to puzzles or moments where you have to kind of think fast and work out how to get out of the situation. For example, there was a couple of moments in this game with this, basically you had to run away from an enemy and use windows, and having to use them to your advantage. But now imagine that you have a scary, terrifying thing chasing you, and you have to work out how you're going to get out of the situation, and the game gives you no hints at all. Now the situation to this problem is obvious once you think about what you are trying to stop or get away from, but when you're in the moment it becomes very unclear because you're literally running for your life. And this is what I mean by puzzles that you don't realise are puzzles in the moment, because they're not very obvious basically, and I actually found myself becoming annoyed when playing because I was panicking and freaking out about this thing chasing me. But yeah, overall I think this game is amazing. I would definitely recommend paying full price for it. The next section of this video is going to be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. Go and play the game and then come back when you played it. I just have a few things that I kind of just want to discuss. I haven't really written a script for this, so I'm just going to kind of see where my brain takes me. If you're wondering if I googled Resident Evil Village ending explained videos after completing this, you'd be absolutely correct, as my brain could not comprehend some of the origin story bits in this game. Yes, that's another way of saying that they link this game with other Resident Evil games, so there is actually plenty to enjoy here for most people. I didn't Google this because I didn't understand what was being said though. I Googled it because I had no idea who most of the people that they were talking about when they brought all this stuff up. As I mentioned before, I only started this franchise or started playing the franchise with Resident Evil 7, and Village does suffer from the same problems, which, you know, as I mentioned before, so the poor ending, with the poor ending with the boss fight, which is a shame as both games are amazing for most of the game, and I actually went into the last boss feeling sorry for Heisenberg as he just wanted to be free from Miranda and wanted some help from Ethan as he could see how powerful he was. So I actually just felt really sorry for him as I was fighting and didn't really want to kill him. But yeah, so like I was saying, like, it gets a bit silly. Like at one point Ethan gets his hand sliced off and he just literally puts it back on like it's a piece of Lego. I mean, honestly, Ethan's two hands might as well be the true boss fight in this game, as they are literally indestructible. But if you keep playing and get to the end, it starts to explain why Ethan can put his limbs back on like they're gloves. To be honest, it's actually where this game got quite interesting to me, as it turns out Ethan is dead, and the whole time he's basically only living because of this fungus from the first game. The same fungus that infected the Baker family, I believe they're called. But yeah, he literally gets his heart ripped out, and you then play as Chris, which I loved, by the way. A lot of people have said that they don't like it because it's too action focused, but I mean, at the end of the day, you've literally just had a fight with a big metal zombie thingy, so at this point the plausibility and believability has just gone out the window. Anyway, I'm rambling. So I found it fun just being able to storm through all these kind of creatures, which, you know, with all this unlimited ammo, and you kind of reach your end point, and then you plant the bomb and switch back to Ethan, which is where you find out why all this has been happening, and you've managed to get up and walk around without a heart. Then you get into a fight with Miranda, and it's just meh. Like, I really don't like this boss fight. It's just over the top. it's just an over-the-top amalgamation of what's come before, and then you save Rose and blow up the big heart thingy. I can't remember the name. Whilst your wife and Chris escape. Now this is my problem with it, all. At the end they tease that Ethan is alive, and there's a post-credit scene basically where a car drives down the road and there's a figure, and it looks like a man who's wearing Ethan's clothes, but it's just like, why? What is the point, honestly? Just let Ethan's story be done. Stop bringing them back to life. The impact of someone dying does not matter if you keep bringing them back. And you've done it like 4 times now. It's getting old, Capcom. Let it be. Just leave it. Focus on his daughter. I'm excited to see what they do with his daughter and the story. I am a bit fearful that they're going to turn it into a action series again, which I do not want. But yeah, those are some of my more kind of general thoughts, I suppose. I guess the only other thing to answer is, do you need to play 7 to play this game? I would say yes, and I'm actually going to go back and play that game, and I think I'm going to review it on this channel. And I'm also, for all the people that got annoyed at me for making fun of the old games, I'm also going to go back and play Resident Evil 2 and 3 because they've been remade. So I will also have reviews for those on this channel, so look out for those. But yeah, I think you should play it because it's a direct sequel. Village is a direct sequel to 7, and it adds to the lore. And like I said before, the games do turn into Hollywood movies at the end, but I'm not really sure why, as it doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the game, but it's definitely worth playing. Like I mentioned before, it's definitely worth paying full price for. And if you're a fan of Resident Evil, you'll love it. But yeah, that's the end of this review. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you next time.